So I waste money, do I? Forget it.
Clean and soft. I suppose this bulb was expensive.
It cost over £1 less than your usual two. May come in handy when you get the electricity bill.
Well, I take whatever I want, and baby, I want you. I can't get enough of your love.
Is that okay?
Great. Rewind. Too far.
Well, I take
Avant-Garde, the new body spray from Impulse.
Summer's just about here, but don't panic. If you get on the Slim Fast plan today, you could lose 10 pounds in a month. The plan's easy. The calories have been counted, the fat grams have been computed. You don't even have to think about nutrition. It's all in there. A shake for breakfast, one for lunch, a sensible dinner, even bars as snacks. So start today. By the time the weather heats up, you could look really hot.
Start Slim Fast today. See the weight come off.
You could lose 10 pounds in a month.
Here's a new sunflower spread that's lower in fat than most other spreads. St. Ivel Gold Sunflower. It has a fresh taste that's light and delicate and low in fat, so you can enjoy it while keeping an eye on your family's health. Low fat, St. Ivel Gold Sunflower.
Delicious malty flakes. The Kellogg's Special K low-calorie breakfast. Get the taste. Get the shape. Stay special.
Hundreds of thousands of babies are now changing to new Huggies from Kleenex. In fact, it's the fastest growing nappy. Huggies, there's no dryer nappy.
Norman's prices are always low, but now they've gone completely off their trolley. With some absolutely crazy savings.
Look, 24 eggs are only 99p at Norman's. That's less than half price. And a pound of bacon for just 98p. You save 27p. Amazing!
You can make hundreds of crazy savings at Norman's if you use your head. So come to Norman's, you'd be off your trolley not to, hooray!
Your stylist knows your hair is special. So do you. He tailors his care to your hair. So do you. He knows you need a special conditioner, and so does Vidal Sassoon. He's reinvented Wash and Go. Not with ordinary, but with tailor-made conditioners to match your hair. So dry hair stays soft and shiny. Greasy hair is cleaner with body. And fine hair has volume. The new Wash and Go from Vidal Sassoon. Tailored care for your hair.
This is a doorstep challenge, not for this powder, but for a new mystery powder. Hello, Dawn. You've been using a mystery powder, haven't you?
Yeah.
Can I come in and check some results?
It's in a bit of a mess at the moment.
Well, we hope you tidy up.
The whites, I'm really pleased with my whites. My little girl gets dinner and everything over a T-shirt, and it's come out spotless, thanks to this powder.
You want to stick with your Des Ultra?
I'd give up my Des Ultra for this one.
Would you like to know what this powder is?
I don't.
Oh.
New Des Ultra.
New Des Ultra. You
right.
have this one then.
You can have that one. let me finish the advert. New Des Ultra. More power for whiter whites and still at the right price.
When you need real fruit refreshment, try Opal Fruits. With all the juice of mouth-watering fruit. Opal Fruits, made to refresh you, made to make your mouth water.
Uncle Ben's sweet and sour sauce combines pineapple, tamarind and spices for the perfect taste. Onions, bamboo shoots and peppers for perfect crunchiness. No wonder more people enjoy Uncle Ben's sweet and sour than any other you can buy. Uncle Ben's, perfect results every time.
I move with the times with progress. To reveal younger-looking skin, I found Plenitude XLA3 with triple AHA fruit acids.
An innovation from L'Oreal, XLA3 helps remove dull skin cells, leaves skin feeling more radiant. Its vitamin E and melanin complex neutralizes the effects of free radicals. Its UVB filter protects the skin. Consumer tests prove with XLA3 the skin is noticeably smoother, visibly more radiant.
My skin looks so much younger.
New Plenitude XLA3 from L'Oreal challenges the signs of aging.
For just 99 pence, you can enjoy Sainsbury's delicious thin and crispy cheese and tomato pizza. While Sainsbury's red or white wine from the island of Sicily is £1.99 a bottle. Put them together, and as they say in Italy, delicioso.
Pantene Hair Health Update.
Would you believe that friction caused by brushing and combing can actually damage unconditioned hair? Pantene knows this. Its patented pro-vitamin formula penetrates right to the tips as it strengthens and protects against combing damage. My hair's never looked healthier, and it really shines. It's good to know my hair's protected with this, because I'm not going to stop doing this. Would you?
Pantene, daily protection for healthy-looking hair.
According to the principle of polarity, many things that exist have their equals and exact opposites. Where there is man, there is woman. And where there is purity, there is, in contrast, a dark and wanton side. And thus, to appreciate fully what is pure, one must also have tasted what is wicked.
Fruit corner from Muller. 2 tempting taste. 1 delicious yogurt.
New seasoned lamb down £1 a pound.
Let's buy a whole leg. There's more to go round.
49 pence, double cream's a low price. Very tempting, very nice.
Save on tomatoes. You'll find it pays when you can use them in so many ways.
This price on melons is really good.
So why not get 2?
I think we should.
Coca-Cola's great value too. I'm saving lots and so could you.
Price check at Summerfield and Gateway stores now.
I've designed this school uniform, which will be studied closely when they do the prize giving.
You can't go up. Put your jacket on.
What's the problem?
Whites need a hot wash, but your style needs a cool wash.
My style, miss, or your liquid?
What liquid would have got that food stain really clean?
Now Ariel's been improved, perhaps new Ariel colour liquid would. I'm told it has improved cleaning at 40 degrees. Let's see. On spaghetti bolognese, traditional liquid only got it nearly clean, but new Ariel tackled it better to get it really clean first time.
Ariel's passed its examination.
That's worth a prize. New Ariel, not just nearly clean, but really clean.
Everyone loves a barbecue and a couple of bird's eye beef burgers, made with prime ground beef. Which is why I don't invite everyone.
Bird's eye beef burgers. Get straight to the taste.
Ba 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 baby bell. Ba baby bell. Ba ba baby bell. Try it if you please, you never would believe. So smooth and soft is the My Little Cheese.
Baby Bell, the little cheese that likes to get out.
Remember who makes New Woman's Best New Hair Care Product of the Year? Now for the good news about styling.
Oh, no. You never forget how to ride a bike. It's like
Well, riding a bike.
Did you stop for lunch?
Lunch? Lunch is for wimps.
Well, at least it stayed dry for you.
How's the bike?
That bike, you know, it almost feels part of me.
Ah, that'll be the saddle. Get your dad a cushion.
Some diets leave behind lots of hunger holes.
Oh, a chocolate biscuit hole.
Because Kellogg's All Bran is high in fibre, it expands, filling you up and helps prevent the snacking that could ruin your diet.
That's filled me up nicely.
Kellogg's All Bran fills the holes a diet creates. On skin this delicate, how soft do clothes feel with your washing powder? Some traditional non-bios leave fibres flattened. But pure, mild fairy leaves them fluffy and feeling really soft. As every fairy mother knows, pure fairy is the non-bio that gives the softer touch for delicate skin.
If you're looking for a car with driver's airbag and metallic paint as standard, without costing the earth, you'll find it in the special edition Fiesta Azura. From £6,495, but only if you hurry. Order one now from your local Ford dealer.
From Pound Stretcher, 2 Maxo videotapes, only $2.99. Cool, huh?
You can say that again.
From Pound Stretcher, 2 Maxo videotapes, only $2.99. Cool, huh?
You can say that again.
Pound Stretcher, low, low prices, again
and again.
and again.
In the glare of summer, the merciless sun hounds the spectacle wearer. Escape is not easy. At Specsavers, our solution is a pair of stylish prescription sunglasses worth nearly £60, absolutely free. You can obtain these when you buy spectacles from our $59.95 range. Specsavers Opticians, local eye care for Britain.
Let the sun shine down on me.
With new Delial, your skin feels the difference. Delial's moisturizers care for your skin, while its balanced filters give you the protection you need for a beautiful golden tan. Delial, for the sunny side of life.
HTV, a distressing incident at a tube station, needs the expertise of Blue Watch as they race to save the life of a passenger hit by a train. Then it's on to a blazing hotel, all in a day's work. London's Burning, Friday at 9.
Ladies' Day and fashion from Ascot, tomorrow on GMTV.
Jeff! I've just been round to see our new neighbours. Very nice, but lime green sofa and mauve carpet. And when they offered me a cup of tea, it wasn't PG tips.
What? No PG? God, have they no taste? You can really taste the difference in a cup of PG. Tender tips make tasty tea.
A golden cup of PG. That's what I call good taste.
Social, what was their house like?
Oh.
For quality furniture at prices you can really afford.
Wales's largest furniture store. George Street Furnishers.
Can I help you?
Yes. I'd like to see the manager.
You wanted to speak to me?
Yes, I bought this silk blouse here and look, it's faded already.
How did you wash it?
In my machine, a cool wash with my usual powder.
Ah, right temperature, but probably the wrong powder. You should try Dreft Automatic. It's safer on silk.
We've ruined this silk blouse so that you can protect yours. After 5 washes, you can see the difference. Dreft Automatic is safer on machine washable silk than any main wash powder.
Forgotten something, madam?
Yes. You convinced me.
Don't take chances. Dreft is safer on silk in your machine.
Marlborough has thousands of carpets, Twists, Axminsters, Wiltons and many, many more for immediate delivery, plus hundreds of remnants with incredible savings. Marlborough of Cardiff.
For just 99p, you can enjoy Sainsbury's delicious thin and crispy cheese and tomato pizza. While Sainsbury's red or white wine from the island of Sicily is £1.99 a bottle. Put them together, and as they say in Italy, delicioso.
Tackling today's controversial issues head-on, the award-winning series Frontline returns to Channel 4 with 6 highly personal documentaries. As the Labour Party elects a new leader and possible next Prime Minister, Brian Gould, an MP for 25 years, is quitting British politics to return to his native New Zealand. Disillusioned with our political system, he reflects on his reasons for packing his bags and going home. A farewell to Britain. Frontline returns tonight at 9 on 4.
Hello, good afternoon. An 11-year-old boy has been interviewed by the police today investigating a pollution incident at Bradford-on-Avon in Wiltshire. It's already turned a 10-mile stretch of the River Avon bright red, and it's still spreading. Also today, all quiet on the Great Western Front as the trains don't take the strain, and the new shape on the skyline at Pilton. A schoolboy prank has today turned the River Avon in Wiltshire bright red. The pollution has already spread from the centre of Bradford-on-Avon to Bath, and it'll eventually reach the sea more than 30 miles away. Fortunately, the dye isn't toxic, and the incident could even do some good.
Waterways officials could hardly believe their eyes when they got to Bradford-on-Avon. As far as they could see, the river had turned blood red, and the crimson tide was spreading downriver towards Bath. Swans and ducks were paddling around in the unknown contaminant, and the riverbanks, vegetation and fish were being stained scarlet just hours before the angling season was due to open. Samples were rushed to the National Rivers Authority's laboratories in Exeter for analysis, and the fire brigade was called in.
The advice of the National Rivers Authority is that we disturb the ink that's in, or the material that's in the river, and allow it to flow down the river better. Otherwise it's going to go on for a long time. It's fairly sticky lumps.
Police had been searching along the river for the likely source, and they found it in a derelict factory, sacks of a powerful non-toxic dye. Soon it was clear the emergency services were cleaning up after a schoolboy's prank. In a way, it's been useful to the NRA. Occasionally, they dye rivers themselves to track the potential spread of a pollutant. At 11 o'clock, the red stretch of the Avon passed through Limpley Stoke, and by now it should be in Bath. But it could have been a disaster. An 11-year-old boy has had a talking to about the stupidity of throwing sacks of unknown chemicals into a river. And the NRA has issued a warning to adults not to leave chemicals where children and vandals can find them. Alison Delaney, HTV News.
Well, now today's rail strike, and although no trains have run in the region, the expected road chaos hasn't materialised. Traffic has only been slightly heavier than usual on the west motorways and main roads. Thousands of people appear to have opted for a day in the sunshine rather than the office.
Bristol Parkway at 7:30 this morning, the height of the rush hour. Normally 3,000 passengers and 120 trains pass through the station every day, but today the signals were stuck on red. Intercity laid on coaches to London at 7 and 7:15, but no one turned up and they left empty.
I suspect a lot of people have already made plans to either work from home or gone to London yesterday and staying overnight. They tend to make their plans well in advance. So although we've offered the service of a coach, it hasn't been taken up.
The station was fully staffed with 14 personnel, but there was little to do except tidy up. Taxi drivers waited patiently for customers who didn't come. There were similar scenes at Bristol Temple Meads with empty platforms and stationary trains, causing a serious problem for a university student from Spain.
I bought this ticket yesterday, and they knew that there was a strike today for going to Plymouth. I have to take a boat today at 12 in Plymouth for going to Santander to make one exam, and They didn't tell me anything about the strike.
Traffic on the roads this morning was only slightly heavier than usual. One of the few members of the Signalmen's Union not to strike was Ron Muggleton, a crossing keeper near Stroud. His colleagues returned to work at midnight, and services should be back to normal by midday tomorrow. Bill Spencer, HTV News.
Road safety experts are being called in to investigate conditions on the A303 running through Wiltshire. There have now been 5 serious accidents on the stretch between Mere and Amesbury. In the most recent, 2 men and a woman died at Willoughby Hedge between Chicklade and Wiley. Wiltshire's Chief Fire Officer John Craig is worried by the number of crashes at the site, and he's now calling for measures to cut the speed of traffic. More than 19,000 HTV viewers have given a resounding vote of support to the Minehead policeman at the centre of the cuffing row. In the HTV phone poll, which we launched on yesterday's lunchtime news, there's overwhelming support for PC Steve Guscott. Only 2% of callers thought that he should lose his job. Those lines, by the way, are now closed. Officials at Bath's Royal United Hospital will decide later on today whether to resume routine admissions cancelled last week because of a virus affecting hundreds of staff and patients. Most have now recovered, and it's thought that the hospital could return to normal tomorrow. Supporters of Swindon Town Football Club have reacted angrily today to the FA's action against Spurs for financial irregularities. The Wiltshire fans say that, however tough the punishment may be for the Premier's side, it's not as harsh as they faced in 1990. So they now want their club to sue the FA for £4 million.
This sunny day at Wembley in 1990 should have been Swindon Town's finest hour. But within days of winning the second division playoff final, they were demoted 2 divisions, later reduced to 1 on appeal for financial irregularities. The fans who marched through the streets to protest feel as cheated today as they did then, after Tottenham escaped with their Premiership status intact, despite admitting similar offences.
We're very angry. There seem to be several different sets of punishments depending on the size of the club and the weight you carry within the Football Association.
Supporters fear that Tottenham's punishment, like theirs, could also be reduced. In the meantime, they want Swindon to sue for lost revenue. Chairman Ray Hardman hasn't ruled that out. Directors will meet later this month to discuss the legal implications of last night's decision.
An £80,000 appeal for a new hydrotherapy pool for a special school in Avon has been launched today by the Duchess of York. She's been touring Baytree School at Weston-super-Mare, talking to staff and pupils and watching displays. The school caters for around 70 youngsters aged between 3 and 19 who all need intensive teaching support. A big increase in profits has been announced by Bristol Water. At £12.5 million, the figure is 12% up on last year. Turnover at just under £60 million is also increasing sharply, allowing the company to spend almost £22 million on improving supplies. Lecturers at South Bristol College are on strike today in a row over new contracts. Pickets are on duty outside the college, where 100 members of teaching staff are now taking industrial action after refusing to sign the new deal. They say it would mean working longer hours and having fewer holidays. A major attempt is being made to win government aid for Ailing Watchet Docks in West Somerset. A £4 million scheme to turn the port into one of the region's biggest marinas with a lock gate to ensure that the tide never goes out is being entered in a national bid for development funds. Finally, a new shape dominates the skyline in part of Somerset today. It's a huge wind turbine and is being erected at the Pilton Pop Festival site near Shepton Mallet, just yards from the still smouldering remains of the pyramid stage destroyed in an arson attack on Monday.
The turbine, 150 feet high, was lifted into place at Worthy Farm by an equally large telescopic crane. It was specially brought over from Denmark to demonstrate just how effective wind power can be. In fact, the festival organiser, Michael Evis, says only a light breeze will be needed to turn the 3 blades. They should then generate enough power to run all the sound equipment and lighting on a temporary stage being built to replace the 13-year-old pyramid, which was destroyed in the arson attack earlier in the week. The festival itself is due to get underway in 9 days' time.
Well, that's it. The weather forecast comes up next. We have more headlines for you at 3:25. Don't forget the main news, as usual, is at 6:25. Do have a good afternoon, won't you?
The afternoon will remain fine and dry with lots of sunshine, and it will be pleasantly warm, with temperatures climbing to a high of 21 degrees Celsius, that's 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but a brisk west to northwest breeze is likely to keep coastal areas a good bit cooler. Tonight, evening sunshine will give way to a fine, dry night with very little cloud and perhaps one or two short-lived mist patches forming around dawn. It's going to be a coolish night with temperatures falling to around 8 degrees Celsius, that's 46 Fahrenheit, and the northwesterly winds will fall light. In summary then, it looks as though it's going to be a fine afternoon with some sunny spells to look forward to and a clear, cool night ahead.
Hello, this is ITN with Wednesday's lunchtime news.
The main developments so far today. Most of Britain's trains are strike-bound, and it could all happen again next week. As commuters struggle to work, did the government block a pay offer to Signal staff? We'll ask the Employment Minister.
The other lunchtime headlines, as unemployment falls again, why many firms are now having trouble finding skilled workers. And why what's good for asthma sufferers is bad for the environment.
Most of Britain's rail network is at a standstill this lunchtime, paralysed by a 24-hour strike by signalling staff. The rail union RMT is threatening a second strike next Wednesday and has accused the government of interfering in the dispute. Ministers have called on both sides to get together and talk. Many commuters this morning took to the roads early, then sat in long jams. Others simply stayed at home.
In Manchester, as in most other cities up and down the country, the trains were parked up, the rail network paralysed by the 24-hour strike. The snaking tracks, which would have been carrying thousands of commuters, were deserted. In Glasgow, a few would-be travellers turned up in hope, only to find the mainline station closed. And outside on the M8, it was already filling up with motorists determined to beat the strike. The traffic jams were said to be twice as long as normal. London's problems were worse than ever, with approach roads clogged and vehicles crawling along nose to tail. Drivers tuned to radio reports hoping to be offered alternative routes.
Every single major route really is very, very heavy. London struggling bravely, as it always does, to try to get to work.
Some commuters headed for the capital by taxis from as far afield as Northamptonshire and the Kent coast, paying up to £100. Others braved the overburdened tubes or walked.
Took about an hour and a quarter to get in, a bit slow, but...
You're not?
Yeah, just walk down to work now.
But a handful of train services did keep running. The Chiltern Turbo seen here streaking through the Buckinghamshire countryside on its way to London to maintain a normal service.
This train is for London Marylebone only.
Commuters on board were delighted to have a reliable service.
I'm quite happy to get to work because the Chiltern line has always managed to keep going despite strikes by signalmen in the past. It seems determined to make a good name for itself, seeing it eventually will be privatised.
And one of the fortunate ones that we've got a train service at all, I guess.
I'd like to do some sunbathing, I have to say, but, you know, I think we've got the easy option. Very lucky, and I could have driven in or something like that.
For some, though, the strike gave them an opportunity to take the day off work, head for the beach at Brighton and soak up the sun and forget about industrial disputes.
Well, our reporter Robin White is at Ascot railway station. Robin, what's going on there, or perhaps what's not going on there?
Well, we haven't had a single train here all morning, Nick. This should be one of the busiest days of the year for Ascot railway station. Special trains laid on from as far away as Manchester, bringing literally thousands of people, racegoers, here onto the platform. People who would come through from the station and walk down to the racecourse, which is down this footpath. At this moment, this area around me should be absolutely heaving with bodies, but as you can see, I'm standing here virtually on my own.
Have people been determined to get to Ascot by other means?
Well, police think so, certainly. They're expecting long tailbacks into town. Yesterday, the traffic jams lasted about 3 miles out of town, and they've laid on extra car parks. They expect that many people will try and get here either by car or by coach or by taxi. Obviously, they're expecting it's going to take more than the loss of the trains to stop the determined punters and, of course, the flowery hats.
Robin White, thank you.
With most trains at a standstill, the row over whether the government intervened during pay negotiations has been gathering pace. Opposition politicians and the Signal Workers Union, the RMT, claim the government was unhappy with an offer of 5.7% made by the management. Railtrack and several cabinet ministers have fiercely denied the claims. Vernon Mann reports.
RMT say this is the document that proves they had a 5.7% offer, an offer they claim was vetoed by the government. Railtrack said the offer was never formally put. Union officials this morning denied that.
Well, whether it was formally put to us or not, we all understood what was happening because all documents that are put to us, I accept that some are taken off the table, the same as we put documents on the table that then get negotiated on and you move from there. But when we left the meeting on Wednesday evening, late Wednesday evening, Railtrack's words from their negotiator to us were, along the lines that we've been discussing over the last 3 days, we will now formulate a formal proposal which we would like you to consider.
I find it extraordinary that Railtrack, this new Tory quango, has not yet asked for a meeting with ACAS, have not tried to involve the unions in that. I find it extraordinary that agreement that 5.7 was a starting point for negotiations should just have been wiped off the board within 4 days, clearly because of political intervention by ministers.
And as the rail network remained paralysed and it became apparent that thousands of workers had stayed home, the Institute of Directors said strikes of any kind should be banned because of their damaging effect on the economy.
Well, thoroughly damaging, costing business an awful lot of money, bad for our reputation, bad for the international companies that choose London as a place of business, bad for tourists, bad for the reputation, disastrous in every respect.
Can you quantify yet, or is it too early?
Tens, hundreds of millions, significant amount of money.
The government says the strike is a reminder of the politics of the past and warned there would be more if Labour got back to power. Vernon Mann, ITN, Central London.
Well, joining us now, the Rail Workers Union leader, Jimmy Knapp. Jimmy Knapp, we've heard your assertions about interference from ministers in preventing this 5.7% pay offer being put to you, but Railtrack and the government are both absolutely adamant that didn't happen.
Well, I don't believe those denials because all that remained to be done after 3 days of negotiation was to put the proposals on paper. That never happened. Somebody stopped it. So the questions have got to be asked. Why did that piece of paper not appear? Why did we have 4 days of inactivity? And why, by Monday afternoon, had the proposals that were going to be put in paper been wiped off the table?
The fact is that most people are having to accept pay increases of around 2% and some people no pay increase at all. Aren't you really flying in the face of economic reality by pursuing such a high claim?
No, we're not. We've just settled a 2.5% pay deal for the rest of the BR workforce. What we're talking about here is a group of workers who've given magnificent productivity, cooperated totally with the introduction of new technology, who've seen their numbers reduced by a third in the last 10 years, and who've had their claims to have that recognised totally neglected and ignored over that period. I would have thought these were the type of workers that the government wanted to encourage, and I couldn't imagine any opposition from them to negotiating a deal around the situation that exists here.
There's talk of another strike next week. Is that going to go ahead?
Well, it will go ahead, and it's programmed to go ahead, but we've got 7 days, and we can solve this problem if we can get back to the type of serious negotiations that we were having last Wednesday, and which, as I say, were wiped off the table.
The government is already talking about the bad old days, return to the 1970s and so on. Isn't this very politically damaging to the Labour Party?
No, it's not. I mean, this is a straightforward industrial dispute, where, as I said a minute ago, workers feel very neglected, very ignored, having made a tremendous contribution to the increased efficiency of the industry. And that anger and frustration has boiled over. It's as straight as that, and it would have been the same type of argument at any point during the last 15, 20 years.
Jimmy Knapp, thanks very much indeed.
The government's fortunes improved a little today after its disastrous showing in the Euro elections, with good news on prices and unemployment. Official figures showed no change in inflation and a fall in the jobless total to a 26-month low. During May, seasonally adjusted unemployment fell by 20,100 to just over 2,661,000.
Rocketing sales have brought a fresh set of problems for companies like Land Rover and Solihull. In the past 12 months, it's taken on 1,200 new staff, a 10% increase. But the challenge in a changing marketplace has been to find the right sort of new recruit.
We're looking for people who are flexible, people who are prepared to carry out a range of activity in our business, do different things, not carry out necessarily the same task all the time.
This is a handful of the 5,000 hopefuls who applied for a job. Hairdressers, care workers, civil servants. They do a day of aptitude tests. Here they're building a paper lorry to see if they can learn the necessary skills to do it for real.
Got a couple of wide range of things. I still find people that ask for more. So I think the more training you do get is beneficial too, because there's a limited amount of jobs about it.
Why should men have all the opportunities today? Why can't women enjoy it as well?
But while some British companies are investing in their own training schemes, opposition politicians say the government is doing little to help the mass of the unemployed back into work.
The government must improve competitiveness by training measures and measures on the infrastructure before it's too late to do so, without making what will be a worsening inflation problem worse still.
It's this complete indifference to the level of unemployment that is the greatest indictment of this government. And we believe that you could do considerably more to get more of people into jobs.
In his key speech to the Mansion House here this evening, the Chancellor of the Exchequer is expected to say that the outlook for the British economy generally, and for inflation in particular, remains exceptionally good. City analysts believe that since average earnings grew more slowly last month than expected, the pressure is also off him to raise interest rates. Mark Webster, ITN, The City.
Well, the Employment Secretary, David Hunt, is in our Westminster studio now. Mr. Hunt, if we could come to unemployment in just a moment. This business of the rail dispute. I've seen you quoted already this morning as saying that the government didn't get involved in the detailed negotiations, but did the government, in some form, indicate to Rail Track that a pay offer of 5.7% would be inadvisable?
Bob Horton, the head of Rail Track, has already today on the radio made it clear that that didn't happen. But I reckon...
So there was no... I mean, people will be a bit puzzled by this. You didn't... nobody made any suggestion at all. There was no conversation, no phone conversation, no conversation by letter, by fax, in any way, whatever.
Now, let me just put the situation absolutely clear. You'd have to be on another planet not to realise the importance that the government attaches to pay bill restraint. We've already made it clear in the public sector we cannot have pay increases that aren't paid for by efficiency savings in some way. And the level of private sector settlements, as was just made clear a few moments ago, is running at around about 2.5%. So it is pretty irresponsible for a union to come across using pretty out-of-date language to say that their members are upset because they're not getting an inflationary pay increase.
This is one group of workers where the productivity was said to have been gained greatly in the last few years. Surely the judgment, the commercial judgment of Rail Track is something that the government should welcome if you want to see market forces operating.
Yeah, it's a matter for Rail Track to negotiate with the rail union. What I object to is the fact that we seem to be getting back to the 1970s, with the trade union taking it out on millions of people today, when they should be around a table. Railtrack has said that their door is open. Why on earth isn't the union sitting around that table and negotiating a settlement?
And very quickly on the unemployment figures, might not a lot of the jobs that we're seeing coming through now be part-time ones and not very well-paid ones?
Well, we have around about 25 million in the workforce now, one of the highest rates among the working-age population in work anywhere in Europe. 5.9 million work part-time, but the vast majority of those because they want to work part-time. And the message of these statistics is what we've been saying all along is now proving correct, that we are the fastest-growing economy in the whole of Europe. If you compare us with others, we're doing extremely well, but we must improve our competitiveness. That's the clear message of these statistics.
David Hunt, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Within the past half hour, the Labour left-winger Ken Livingstone has withdrawn from his party's leadership race. Speaking on Channel 4's House to House programme, he said he wanted to stand as a candidate of the left, but had failed to get the 34 nominations from MPs necessary.
My own position is that I'll be telling the campaign group tonight that I don't think it's no point in trying to run a candidate. We can't get the 34 nominations. We should support Margaret Beckett.
So you're pulling out of the contest?
Well, we're never really in it. As long as you've got this rule that says you've got to have 34 people to nominate you, and given that Tony's already got half the PLP, then you've got 4 people scrabbling from amongst the other 50%. At best, you can get 2 people nominated, and I don't want to do anything that would mean that perhaps we didn't get anybody. I mean, it could all go horribly wrong, and we might all fall short. I think we can definitely get the nominations in, though, for Margaret Beckett and John Prescott, so there will be some sort of contest.
The former US President Jimmy Carter is in the North Korean capital Pyongyang today as tension continues to mount over the country's nuclear program. The North has repeatedly refused to allow inspections of its nuclear installations and is now facing sanctions over its withdrawal from the International Atomic Agency. This morning, South Korea accused its neighbour of being ready for war.
Jimmy Carter's trip across the border today does not just provide a rare opportunity for a Western statesman to meet the Pyongyang leadership, it could also represent the best chance of preventing conflict on the Korean peninsula.
President Carter, Mrs. Carter. Welcome to Pyongyang. Thank you very much.
With the pleasantries over on the south side, Mr. Carter and his wife were led across the heavily fortified border. But while he was rooting for peace, Seoul was preparing for war. The city centre was brought to a halt by a major civil defence exercise. Civil defence reservists scaled the walls of office blocks in simulated evacuations, and soldiers were put through their paces in dealing with a nuclear attack, while others dealt with the imagined effects of chemical warfare. Mock casualties were rushed to the university hospital in a chilling representation of the city under a barrage of North Korean missiles.
The purpose of this exercise is to instill confidence in the population that Seoul is prepared in the event of war. The fear is that it might cause panic.
Even as the drill was underway, South Korean leaders warned the North was already prepared for war, and experts said it would be foolish to hope for much from Mr. Carter's mission.
I think that is basically very naive, simply because one has to recall that former President Jimmy Carter